Well, we're back, new day, and we're gonna wet this puppy out. So let me go mix up some silver tip epoxy. I'm probably gonna mix up 3-ounce batches, 2A, 1B, and keep it small. Got my cleaned up spatula, and I got a new toothpaste, or toothbrush, and so let me go mix it up and start this. I don't know how long it's going to take, but I'll show you a little bit as I'm going along. I don't need to film the whole thing, maybe the very start and maybe the very end. So let me mix it. Well, when I went and looked at my 2-to-1 lines here, I'm 40 and 60 milliliters, so we'll do it Euro style. And I'm using one of my softer bristles of toothbrushes. A lot of the new ones now have a lot of hard plastic into them. We'll see how long it takes for this to wet out. And I'm trying to get down here to the very end as much as I can. Let it soak underneath that rubber band, or the tire inner tube. I was kind of wondering how the this would react to the brushing of the. I don't know how long it's going to take before I see some of that black underneath. But I know I wonder. There's one thing I want to do. I want to make a mark up here as to when I know I've gone all the way around. And I've got another cloth down here I'm using to rotate with. Oh, I'm starting to see some masking tape down here, so I'm half tempted to do another one, maybe a all-inclusive, because I have been kind of rambling on. This will be episode 8 or 7. I got 6. No, this will be 8, I think. Do a little bit of. This was the other thing I was wondering what was going to happen as I moved this around. I think I'm going to go another foot or so, or another few inches. Where's up? Okay. Let's see how that wicks in, because remember we got 3 layers of 2-inch tape under there, and this 15-ounce, whoa, top coat. I tell you, this weave in here would do a number on your eyes if you focus in and then whoa, that's the wrong focus. So I may, as I go along, pre-soak the outer. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself and get my hands all gunked up. And have to come back and touch something that's already been epoxied. So you get the general idea. I'm going to turn the camera off here in a second and just go on by my lonesome. We'll come back on after I get some indication that this is completely wet out down to the core. As you can see, I'm starting to get some wet out all the way down through. Put some marks down every foot intervals, and well, the first one here is going to be about 2 feet. Now, where is it? Yeah, about right here is about 2 foot long. So that was 60 milliliters, 40 and 20. And to get to that point, I'll keep an eye on it. I'm probably going to go down another foot or two on the next batch, and then come back and look to see how this is and add some more to it. I don't want to oversaturate it. And it's cold enough in here today, it's going to take a while before it cures. Well, I'm getting a pretty good wet out here. You can see mainly it's just around where the last seam was, or maybe the first seam. So I'm just going to take my epoxy. I mixed 6 cups to go all the way down, and now I'll let it set for a while and soak up as much as it possibly can. If you take your time, you won't get an oversaturated piece of work. You know, it'll suck it all up. And I was using my my putty knife, rotating it around to get it thinned out. So there's not a whole lot of squeeze out here. So I'm going to have a fairly, not dry, but I think I'll have an adequate mix. So I'm going to stop now and we'll come back. Another thing I like about a toothbrush is you got a dry spot here, you wet it on and then flip it over and you got a perfect little compression tool. There's a spot right there. Swing around a little bit. Just keep adding some in that spot and rub it in. I've been going up and down the mast like this. Let me move the camera to a better angle to show you what I'm doing. I've been taking my brush wherever I find a dry section. Wet and rub. And I think I'm on this is the end of the 7th cup. It's a little dry down in here, so I'm gonna that's basically all I'm doing right now, just seeing where I'm really dry. Some of this stuff I'm going to let set for a while because it's eventually getting there. It's sucking it up down into the seams. As I was wetting along, I was kind of like wondering, okay, I could see my my centerline tape that I had my marks on to put these, but then I was wondering, what's this clear thing in here? And then I remembered that was the when we did the encapsulation of the little metal rod. That's old fiberglass that this was cured, but I sanded it down really heavily before I wrapped it. So that's what that's showing through. So I'm getting pretty good wet out. There's some spots down in here I'm going to let set for a few minutes. It's what, 3:15 now. I've been at this for about what, hour and a half, 2 hours maybe. No, 3:30 would be 2 hours. So it didn't take that long, and I just finished up my 8th cup. And I may mix up one more later to do some sections in here and down in here. I think what I've got down here for being dry is the sleeving was so tight when we did the stroke and choke that the epoxy's having a hard time getting through that dense weave to wet out underneath. But I can see it's slowly turning. So I'll just keep applying it. I mean, it doesn't set on the surface, so it's got to be going down inside. So far I'm happy. You know, it's not going to be a resin-rich mast. It's going to be fairly dry without having to have any, you know, wraps and squeeze outs. And I didn't need Gene to build a machine or Frank to turn the crank. You just got to watch out for art. Well, it's pretty much wet out. You can see as I spin it, some of those white spots are the tape on the holding the Costco tarp together. I'll get it together here. Keep thinking that maybe there's some spots in here that I might want to add some more to, but I'm going to go ahead. I've already cleaned the trough out, and I want to get this down into it so that I can start the cure. I'll come back later and see if I've got any spots that I may need to add some more to. If it's going to be dry, it's going to be dry down inside. Yeah, there's moisture or wet epoxy in there, so I'm pretty sure it'll wick down. We'll see what happens. Let me get it down into its trough. There. I had to put a little bit of a spacer at the top of the mast because the fiberglass tube I was using was more of a consistent taper. This one it's kind of fat until it gets about up into here, and then it starts narrowing down because it was a fairly expensive aluminum mast for my big 7.2 meter sail. So, in fact, I told you I had to have a kicker probably about that long at the bottom to get it up to full height. But that's, for me, that's good because that gets a thicker section higher up to where the first, other plates up right in here. So, yeah, I'll let that cure. It's starting to, I'm going to come back out a little bit later to see if it's wicked all the dry spots. And those seem to be around, I'm assuming, the inside, the first layer, the cloth, the seams, the edges there, is taking the longest time to get down to wet that out. And that's most likely where it's this, what we'd call the selvage, the thicker part of the tape, which would take a little bit more material to wet it out. So we'll see what we got when we get done.